The explosion came without warning. Commander Marcus Chen was walking through the lower market of Harmony's Edge. When the floor shook beneath his feet, he grabbed a support beam as people screamed and ran in every direction. Fire bloomed from the cargo section. Metal groaned. The station was dying. Marcus had served 15 years in the Terran Marines. His body moved before his mind could catch up. He ran toward the flames, not away from them. Through the smoke, he saw her. She was trapped under a fallen cargo platform. Her skin was pale blue, and her hair flowed like liquid silver even in the chaos. Blood pooled beneath her. She was beautiful in a way that hurt to look at, and she was dying. Marcus grabbed the platform and pulled. His muscles burned. His back screamed in protest. The metal was too heavy. It would not move. "Come on," he growled through clenched teeth. He thought about his training. He thought about leverage and physics and all the things the Marines had taught him. Then he stopped thinking and just pulled harder. The platform shifted. Not much, but enough. The alien woman crawled free. She was badly hurt. Her breathing was shallow, and her eyes were losing focus. Marcus caught her before she fell. "Stay with me," he said. "Help is coming." She looked up at him with eyes like purple galaxies. Her hand moved slowly, weakly, and pressed against his chest, right over his heart. Her lips moved. She spoke words in a language he did not understand. It sounded like music. It sounded like a prayer. Marcus did not know what to do. He placed his own hand over hers. It felt like the right thing, a gesture of comfort for someone who believed they were about to die. Light flashed between their palms. Warmth spread through his chest. Then darkness took him. Marcus woke up 3 days later. The medical bay was quiet. White walls, clean air, the soft beeping of machines. He tried to sit up, but his body felt like it was made of stone. "You should rest." The voice was soft and clear. Marcus turned his head and saw her sitting beside his bed. The alien woman. She was completely healed. No blood, no wounds. She wore a flowing dress of deep violet, and her silver hair was braided with small crystals. She was smiling at him like he was the most important thing in the universe. "You saved my life," she said. "It was nothing," Marcus managed to say. His throat was dry. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," she said gently. "They would not. I watched them run. You ran toward me." She paused. "My name is Valith. And you, Marcus Chen, are my husband." Marcus blinked. "I'm sorry," he said. "I think I misheard you." "You did not." She explained everything slowly, as if teaching a child. She was a Kithran, a member of one of the oldest and most respected species in the galaxy. When she believed she was dying, she had performed the soul-binding vow. It was an ancient and sacred oath of marriage. By placing her hand over his heart and speaking the words, she had offered herself to him. And by placing his hand over hers, he had accepted. "I didn't know what I was doing," Marcus protested. "I was trying to comfort you. I thought you were dying." "Intent does not matter in the soul binding," Valith said. The gesture was made. The bond was formed. It is recognized by the Galactic Covenant of Species Rights. 4,000 star systems accept this marriage as legal and unbreakable. Marcus sat in silence for a long moment. "Can't we just undo it? An annulment or something?" Valith's smile became sad. "There is no annulment for the soul binding. Once made, it cannot be broken. Not by law. Not by death. Not by anything." Marcus rubbed his face with his hands. This was insane. He had come to Harmony's Edge for a simple diplomatic meeting. Now he was married to an alien princess he had met during an explosion. "Okay," he said slowly. "Okay, this is a lot. But we can figure this out. It's just the two of us, right? We can make it work somehow." Valith looked away. Her expression changed. Something flickered in those purple eyes. Something that looked like guilt. "What?" Marcus asked. "What aren't you telling me?" Before she could answer, a soft chime filled the room. A holographic display appeared above the foot of his bed. The image showed a symbol he did not recognize. Something that looked like 3 moons wrapped around a flower. "A transmission from Kithra Prime," Valith said quietly. From the Matriarch Council, a voice spoke from the display. It was cold and formal and carried the weight of absolute authority. "Commander Marcus Chen of Earth, your presence is required on Kithra Prime immediately." The Matriarch Council has been informed of the soul binding between yourself and Valeth of the third cluster. We must discuss the matter of your remaining brides. The transmission ended. Marcus stared at the empty air where the hologram had been. Remaining brides, he repeated slowly. Valeth, what does that mean? What does remaining brides mean? Valeth stood. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. She did not meet his eyes. There's something about my people that you need to understand, she said. We are not born alone. We are born in clusters, sisters who share a bond from birth, a partial connection of the mind and soul. Sisters, Marcus said. Yes, when one sister marries, she paused. Her voice became very quiet. All sisters in the cluster are bound to that marriage. It has been our way for thousands of years. It is how our civilization survived. Marcus felt cold. How many sisters? Valeth finally turned to look at him. Her eyes were full of apology. 6, she said. I have 6 sisters, Marcus. You are married to all of us. The medical bay was silent except for the beeping machines. Marcus lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. 7 wives, he whispered. I have 7 alien wives, somewhere in the back of his mind. A small voice reminded him that this was definitely not in the diplomatic handbook. The royal vessel Eternal Whisper moved through space like a dream. It was beautiful in a way human ships never were. All curves and flowing lines, like something grown rather than built. Marcus stood at a viewing window and watched the stars slide past. He had been on the ship for 3 days. In that time, he had learned many things about the Kithrans. None of them made his situation better. Valeth sat beside him in the observation room. She had been patient with his questions. She had answered every single one. But the answers only made his head hurt more. So let me understand this, Marcus said for the 10th time. Your species has almost no males. 1 in every 10,000 births, Valeth confirmed. It has been this way for as long as our history records. And because of that, your people evolved a different family structure. Yes, sister clusters share a single mate. It allows our population to survive. It allows our bonds to remain strong. She looked at him with those purple galaxy eyes. It is not strange to us, Marcus. It is simply how things are. Marcus had contacted Earth's Galactic Affairs office the moment he could reach a secure channel. The response had not been helpful. Admiral Park had appeared on the holographic display with dark circles under her eyes. She looked like she had not slept in days. Chen, do you have any idea what kind of mess you've created? She had asked. With respect, Admiral, I didn't create anything. I saved a woman from dying. She performed a marriage ritual I didn't understand. Well, here's what I understand. Park had leaned forward. Humanity has been part of the galactic community for exactly 40 years. We are new. We are small. We have very few allies and a lot of species who think we're primitive apes, who got lucky with faster-than-light travel. I'm aware of our position. Admiral, then you should also be aware that the Kithrans are one of the founding species of the Galactic Council. They have more political power than a dozen human colonies combined. If you reject this marriage, if you insult their cultural practices, it won't just be your career that ends. Park had paused. It could set humanity back 50 years in diplomatic relations. Marcus had said nothing. Make this work, Commander, Park had said. That's not a request. That's an order. Now Marcus was on his way to meet 6 more wives he never asked for. The universe had a terrible sense of humor. Tell me about them, he said to Valeth. Your sisters. I should know something before I meet them. Valeth's expression softened. They are complicated. We love each other deeply, but we are very different. She began to describe them one by one. Silthri is the eldest. She leads our cluster. She is intelligent and powerful, and she does not trust easily. She sees humans as primitive. You will have to earn her respect. Great, Marcus muttered. Mevin is our warrior. She has trained in combat since she could walk. She believes strength is the only thing that matters. She will not accept you until you prove you can fight. Even better, Lirelei is our scholar. She studies other species. She has read everything about humanity that exists in the galactic archives. She will ask you many, many questions. At least someone is interested. Thesley is an empath, even by Kithran standards. She feels emotions more deeply than any of us. She is kind and gentle, but she can be overwhelming. She will know what you are feeling before you do." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. He was not sure he wanted anyone reading his emotions. "Korath is our rebel. She hates tradition. She covers herself in markings and refuses to follow the old ways. She will probably insult you. Do not take it personally." Wonderful, and Nixara is the youngest. She rarely speaks. She watches. She listens. She sees things others miss. Valeth paused. "She is special, fragile. Please be gentle with her." 7 sisters. 7 completely different personalities. 7 women who were now legally his wives under galactic law. Marcus closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The ship arrived at Kithra Prime the next morning. The planet was beautiful. Blue and purple oceans, forests that glowed with soft light, cities that rose like crystal towers toward the sky. It looked like something from a dream. Marcus was escorted to the Matriarch Temple. The building was ancient, massive, carved from a single piece of white stone that seemed to glow from within. Inside, 7 figures waited for him. He recognized Valeth immediately. She stood to the side with a nervous smile, but his attention was drawn to the woman in the center, Silthri. She was taller than Valeth. Her silver hair was pulled back in a severe style, and her purple eyes were cold as ice. She looked at Marcus the way a scientist might look at an insect. "So," she said, "this is the human, Commander Marcus Chen," he said. "It's an honor to. You accidentally married my sister," Silthri interrupted. "That is not honorable. That is foolish," Silthri, Valeth said softly. "No, he should know the truth." Silthri stepped closer. "You are not worthy of this cluster, human. You are not worthy of any Kithran. You are a primitive creature from a primitive world, and the only reason you still breathe is because the soul binding cannot be undone." Marcus met her gaze. He did not look away. "You're right," he said. Silthri blinked. That was clearly not the response she expected. "I didn't ask for this," Marcus continued. "I don't understand your culture or your traditions. I'm completely out of my depth here. But I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to hide. If there's a way to prove myself, tell me what it is." Silence filled the temple. Then Silthri smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Very well, human. There's a way." She turned to face a massive stone altar behind her. The 7 trials of worth, ancient tests designed to prove a suitor is worthy of a sister cluster. They have not been performed in centuries. Marcus felt cold. "And if I fail?" Silthri looked back at him. "Then you die." The other sisters watched in silence. Mevin looked eager for violence. Korath looked bored. Lirelei was taking notes on a small device. Thesli had tears in her eyes. And Nixara, the quiet one, watched Marcus with silver eyes that seemed to see right through him. He thought about running. He thought about begging Earth to extract him. He thought about all the ways this could end in his death. Then he thought about Valeth, about the look in her eyes when she woke up and found him at her bedside, about the way she had said husband like it was a precious gift. "I accept," Marcus said. Somewhere in the galaxy, the word spread. A human was going to attempt the 7 trials of worth. No off-worlder had ever tried. Betting pools opened across 100 star systems. The odds of survival were not good. The first trial began at dawn. Marcus stood in the center of the Matriarch Temple. Around him sat 12 ancient Kithran women. The Matriarch Council. They had guided their species for thousands of years. They had seen empires rise and fall, and now they looked at a single human with curiosity and doubt. "The trial of mind," announced the eldest matriarch. Her voice echoed through the temple. "You must resist our psychic assault for 1 hour. If you break, you fail. If you fail, you die." Marcus took a deep breath. He knew nothing about psychic combat. Humans had no such abilities. They had evolved on a dangerous planet, fighting against nature and each other. Their minds were built for survival, not for telepathy. "Begin," the matriarch said. The attack hit him like a hammer. Pain exploded inside his skull. Images flashed through his brain. His worst memories, his deepest fears, the faces of friends who died under his command, the sound of his mother crying at his father's funeral, every failure, every shame, everything he had ever tried to forget. Marcus fell to his knees. Blood dripped from his nose. His vision blurred. He could hear someone screaming, and then he realized it was himself. In the observation gallery, Galactic Council ambassadors watched with cold interest. Representatives from a dozen species had come to see the human fail. A Vorkith diplomat smiled and made notes on a data pad. A Thelian merchant laughed quietly and adjusted his betting application. The minutes stretched like hours. Marcus could not think. He could not see. The psychic assault was endless, tearing at his consciousness like claws. Normal beings would have broken in seconds. Trained Kithran males could last perhaps 20 minutes. But Marcus did not break. 40 minutes passed. Then 50. The matriarchs pushed harder. Marcus bled from his ears now. He was on all fours, shaking, barely conscious. But he did not break. When the hour ended, the assault stopped. Marcus collapsed face-first onto the stone floor. He lay there for a long moment, breathing in ragged gasps. Then, slowly, impossibly, he pushed himself back up to his knees, then to his feet. He swayed but did not fall. The temple was silent. How? One of the matriarchs whispered. How is he still standing? Lirelei, watching from the side, spoke up. Human brains evolved without psychic abilities. Their neural pathways are chaotic, unpredictable. Our attacks cannot find proper purchase. It is like trying to grip water. The eldest matriarch stared at Marcus for a long moment. Then she nodded. The trial of mind is complete. The human pauses. In the gallery, the Vorkith diplomat stopped smiling. The second trial came 3 days later. The trial of body, Silthri announced. Combat. Survive against a warrior of the cluster for 1 hour. You do not need to win. Only survive. Mevin stepped forward. She was tall and muscular, her body covered in ceremonial armor. In her hands she held a weapon that looked like a spear made of lightning. I have trained since I was 4 years old, she said to Marcus. I have killed enemies that would make your nightmares seem gentle. What makes you think you can last 1 hour against me? Marcus rolled his shoulders. I was a Marine for 15 years. We specialize in surviving things that should kill us. Mevin attacked without warning. She was fast, impossibly fast. Her spear moved like a living thing, striking from angles that should not exist. Marcus blocked what he could and dodged what he could not. Within the first minute, he was bleeding from a dozen cuts. He could not match her speed. He could not match her skill. She was better than him in every possible way. But she could not put him down. Every time Marcus fell, he got back up. Every time she knocked him across the arena, he stood again. His body was broken and bloody, but his eyes never lost their focus. 30 minutes passed. Mevin was breathing hard now, not from exhaustion, but from frustration. She had fought enemies across the galaxy. None of them had lasted this long. Why won't you stay down? She demanded. Marcus spat blood onto the floor. I don't know how. The fight continued. When the hour ended, Marcus could barely stand. 3 ribs were cracked. His left arm was dislocated. One eye was swollen shut, but he was still on his feet. Mevin stared at him for a long moment. Then she did something no one expected. She lowered her weapon and bowed. You fight like an idiot, she said, but you fight with honor. The trial of body is complete. The third and fourth trials tested different things. The trial of heart measured his emotions and intentions. Thiesli wept openly when she felt the genuine care in his soul. The trial of sacrifice demanded he give up something precious. Marcus offered his military commission, the career he had built for 15 years. Without hesitation, Korath watched that one. Afterward, she looked at him differently. The 5th trial was the worst. The trial of silence, Silthri said. 3 days in the Chamber of Shadows. No food, no water. Psychic illusions will test you constantly. Many have gone mad in that place. Marcus entered the chamber alone. The door sealed behind him with a sound like a tomb closing. The darkness was absolute. The illusions began immediately. He saw his dead friends, asking why he had not saved them. He saw his family, telling him he was a disappointment. He saw himself failing, dying, burning, over and over again. 3 days felt like 3 years. When the door finally opened, Marcus walked out on legs that shook like leaves in wind. He was thin, pale, his eyes were hollow, but he was saying how. Lirelei asked. How did you survive? Marcus laughed weakly. It was a broken sound. Humans invented solitary confinement, he said. We've been torturing each other in dark rooms for thousands of years. Your chamber was bad, but I've seen worse in human history. The galactic ambassadors were not laughing anymore. They watched the human with new eyes, new fear. The species was only 40 years into space travel. They were small, short-lived, physically unremarkable. But something about them was deeply unsettling. They simply would not stop. Before Marcus could rest, alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed throughout the temple. Silthari's face went pale as she received an emergency transmission. The Vorkith Dominion, she said. A fleet has entered our space. They are coming for the sisters. Marcus forced his broken body to straighten. Then we fight, he said. 2 trials remained incomplete, but war did not wait for ceremony. The Vorkith fleet filled the sky like a swarm of metal insects. From the temple balcony, Marcus counted the ships. 50 cruisers, 12 battleships, hundreds of smaller attack craft. It was an invasion force designed to crush all resistance. The Vorkith Dominion had wanted Kithran empaths for centuries. They used them as tools, interrogators, mind-breakers, slaves. The marriage chaos and the trials had created a moment of weakness, and the Vorkith had struck. Silthari stood beside Marcus, her face carved from ice. They have come for us. For the sisters, they won't take you, Marcus said. Your confidence is admirable but foolish. Our defense fleet is small. We cannot fight this many ships. Marcus was already moving. He pulled out his military communication device and began typing rapidly. What are you doing? Valith asked. Calling for help. Admiral Yuki Tanaka was a legend of the Terran Navy. She had fought in the resource wars before humanity reached the stars. She had led the fleet that first made contact with alien species. She was 73 years old and more dangerous than any weapon ever built. Her face appeared on Marcus's holographic display within seconds. Commander Chen, I was told you were busy getting married. Change of plans, Admiral. Kithra Prime is under attack. Vorkith Dominion. Full invasion fleet. Tanaka's eyes narrowed. Kithra Prime is not a human protectorate. We have no treaty obligation to defend them, I know. Intervention could be seen as an act of war against the Dominion, I know. You understand what you're asking. Marcus looked at Valith, at Silthari, at the sisters gathered behind them, watching with fear in their eyes. These are my people now, Admiral. I'm calling in every favor I have, every debt anyone owes me, every connection from 15 years of service. He paused. Send everyone. Tanaka was silent for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a wolf who had just been given permission to hunt. The 3rd Fleet can be there in 3 hours, she said. Hold until then. The transmission ended. Silthari stared at him. 3 hours. Your ships can cross that distance in 3 hours? We built our fleet for speed, Marcus said. Humans have been at war with each other for all of history. We got very good at moving fast. The first Vorkith landing craft began their descent. The ground battle was brutal. Marcus had no business fighting. His body was broken from the trials. He could barely lift a weapon, but he refused to hide in the bunkers with the non-combatants. Mevin appeared beside him as they took position outside the matriarch temple. She handed him a plasma rifle. You are an idiot, she said. So you keep telling me you'll die here. Maybe, but not before I take some of them with me. Mevin looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded with something that might have been respect. Then we die together. The Vorkith soldiers were massive creatures, 7 feet tall, covered in thick scales, armed with weapons that could punch through starship armor. They poured out of the landing craft like a flood of nightmares. Marcus and Mevin fought side by side. Korath joined them, her rebel nature forgotten in the heat of battle. Even Lirelei picked up a weapon, her scholar's hands steady as she fired into the enemy ranks. But there were too many. For every Vorkith that fell, 3 more took its place. The defenders were pushed back step by step. The temple doors would not hold forever. Then Marcus saw it. A Vorkith soldier had broken through the side entrance. It was heading directly toward Nixara, the youngest sister, who stood frozen in fear. Marcus did not think. He ran. The Vorkith raised its weapon to fire. Marcus threw himself in front of Nyxara. The plasma bolt hit him square in the chest. Pain, more pain than he had ever felt. His armor melted. His skin burned. He fell. But he did not stop. With the last of his strength, Marcus grabbed the Vorkith's arm and twisted. The alien's weapon discharged into its own face. Marcus kept twisting until he felt the neck snap. Then he collapsed. Nyxara was screaming. Or maybe that was someone else. Marcus could not tell anymore. In orbit, the Third Fleet arrived. 50 Terran warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly into the Vorkith formation. They did not pause to negotiate. They did not send warnings. They simply opened fire. The Vorkith commander watched in horror as human ships rammed directly into his cruisers. The pilots ejected at the last second, and the empty vessels exploded like bombs inside enemy hangars. It was insane. It was suicide. It was working. Admiral Tanaka's voice echoed across all frequencies. Attention, Vorkith Dominion. You have attacked a world that contains a human citizen. This was a mistake. The carrier Unconquered, Tanaka's flagship, tore through the heart of the Vorkith fleet. Its weapons carved burning lines through enemy ships. Its fighters swarmed like angry wasps. On the ground, the Vorkith soldiers received the news of their fleet's destruction. Some tried to surrender. Others fought harder in desperation. It did not matter. When the sun set on Kythera Prime, the Vorkith Dominion had lost 40% of its total military strength. The invasion force was destroyed. The survivors were fleeing into deep space. The Vorkith commander, bleeding in an escape pod, sent one final transmission. "What are humans?" he asked. "What are these creatures?" Admiral Tanaka's response became famous across the galaxy. Persistent, in the temple courtyard, Marcus lay dying. The plasma bolt had destroyed too much. Human medicine could not save him. Kytheran medicine could not save him. He was slipping away, his breathing shallow, his heart slowing. Valith knelt beside him. Tears streamed down her blue cheeks. "No," she whispered. "You cannot die. Not after everything." One by one, the sisters gathered around him. Siltheri, Mevin, Lirelei, Thesli, Korath, Nyxara. 7 women who had been forced into marriage with a stranger. 7 women who had watched that stranger fight and bleed and refused to give up. "There's a way," Siltheri said quietly. "The deep joining. We pour our psychic energy into him. All of us, together. That has never been done for an off-worlder," Thesli said. "It could kill us," Korath added. Siltheri looked at Marcus's pale face, at the wound in his chest, at the man who had saved her youngest sister without hesitation. "He earned it," she said. "He earned us." 7 pairs of hands reached out. 7 minds joined together. Light began to glow around Marcus's body. Siltheri's voice was fierce. "He cannot die. I won't allow it." Marcus woke in a room of light. Everything was soft and warm. The ceiling above him glowed with gentle colors, shifting like an aurora. For a long moment, he simply lay there, breathing, feeling his heart beat. He was alive. He should not be alive, but he was. A familiar face appeared above him. Valith. Her purple eyes were tired, but bright with joy. "Welcome back," she said. Marcus tried to speak, but his throat was dry. Valith helped him drink from a crystal cup. The water tasted like nothing he had ever experienced, clean and pure, and somehow full of life. "How long?" He managed. 2 weeks. "You almost died many times. We almost lost you." She paused. "But we refused to let you go." Marcus became aware of something strange. There was a presence in the back of his mind. Not a voice, but a feeling. Multiple feelings. 7 different emotional signatures, faint but distinct. "What is that?" he asked. "The deep joining," Valith explained. "When we poured our energy into you, a permanent connection was formed. You can feel us now, echoes of our emotions. And we can feel you." She smiled. "You are truly one of us now." Marcus was released from the medical wing 1 week later. He was stronger than before, somehow. The Kytheran energy had done something to his body, healing damage that should have been permanent. His first destination was the Matriarch Temple. The Galactic Council was holding an emergency session. The war with the Vorkith Dominion was over. The enemy fleet was scattered. Their invasion force was destroyed. But the political consequences were only beginning. Marcus walked into the chamber and found hundreds of eyes upon him. Ambassadors from across the galaxy sat in their designated sections. Humans, Kithrans, Thelians, Vorkith survivors, dozens of species he did not recognize. And at the center of it all, the Matriarch Council. Siltheri stepped forward to address the assembly. The 7 trials of worth were suspended due to the attack, she announced. But they are now complete. A murmur ran through the chamber. The 6th trial was the trial of blood, Siltheri continued. The willingness to die for the cluster. Commander Chen satisfied this requirement when he took a fatal wound to save my sister Nixara. She paused. The 7th trial was the trial of unity, the ability to bring the sisters together. For centuries, our cluster has struggled with division and disagreement. Commander Chen has done what no Kithran suitor has managed. Her voice softened. He united us. In purpose, in action, in something that I am only beginning to understand. The Matriarch Council consulted briefly among themselves. Then the eldest rose. The 7 trials are complete. Commander Marcus Chen of Earth is declared a worthy suitor of the 3rd cluster. The soul binding is validated. The marriage is recognized. It was official. Marcus was married to 7 alien princesses, and the entire galaxy now knew it. The reception afterward was overwhelming. Ambassadors came to offer congratulations, many of them clearly hiding their true feelings behind diplomatic smiles. But Marcus noticed something else in their eyes: fear, respect, caution. Humanity had been considered a minor species, short-lived, psychic null, physically unremarkable. But the Battle of Kithra Prime had changed things. A single human fleet had destroyed an invasion force in hours. A single human soldier had survived trials that should have killed him dozens of times. Other species were beginning to understand something important. Humans were not weak. They were simply young. One by one, the sisters came to Marcus. Valeth was first. She kissed his forehead gently. You gave me back my life. Now I give you my heart. Completely. Siltheri approached with her usual cool expression. But something had shifted behind her eyes. She bowed deeply. I doubted you. I called you primitive. I wanted you to fail. She straightened. I was wrong. That does not happen often. You have my respect, husband. You will have to earn my love over time, but I believe you can. Mevin clasped his arm in the warrior's grip. Her smile was fierce and genuine. You fight like an idiot who learned nothing about proper technique. This is unacceptable. I will train you properly. Every morning. No exceptions. She leaned closer. But you have the heart of a warrior. That cannot be taught. Lirele approached with a data pad already in her hands. I have 7,000 questions about human history, biology, culture, and psychology. You will answer them. This will take years, perhaps decades. She smiled shyly. I find myself looking forward to the time. Thisli simply hugged him, tears streaming down her face. I feel what you feel, Marcus. The confusion, the fear, the uncertainty. But underneath all of that, there is something beautiful. You genuinely care about us, not as obligations, but as people. She pulled back to look at him. That is rare. That is precious. Korath approached with her usual swagger, tattoos visible on every exposed inch of her blue skin. She punched his shoulder hard enough to leave a bruise. You're not boring. That's more than I expected from an arranged marriage. She grinned. I don't do tradition. I don't do expectations. But I might do you. Marcus blinked at her directness. Finally, Nixara approached, the youngest sister, the quiet one. She had barely spoken 10 words in his presence since he arrived on Kithra Prime. She took his hand gently. Her silver eyes met his. You saved me, she said. Her voice was soft, barely above a whisper. You did not know me. You had no reason to protect me. But you almost died to keep me safe. She paused. I will not forget. I will never forget. She rose on her toes and kissed his cheek. Then she stepped back, her face flushed, and quickly retreated to hide behind her sisters. Marcus stood surrounded by 7 alien women. His wives, his family. It was strange. It was terrifying. It was nothing he had ever imagined for his life. But for the first time since this madness began, he felt something that surprised him: hope. That evening, Marcus stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. The suns were setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Valeth joined him. "You could have run," she said quietly. "At any point, Earth would have extracted you if you asked. The Galactic Council would have understood." Marcus nodded. "I thought about it. Many times. Especially during the trial of silence. What made you stay?" He was quiet for a long moment, considering the question. "When I saved you on Harmony's edge, I didn't do it because of duty or instinct. I did it because it was the right thing to do." He turned to look at her. "Everything after that, the trials, the battle, your sisters, I kept fighting for the same reason. Not because I had to, because I wanted to." Valeth tilted her head. "And now I have 7 wives I barely know, a diplomatic nightmare that will take years to resolve, and no idea what I'm doing." He smiled slightly. "But I know I want to figure it out. I don't know if this is love yet, but I think it could be." 6 more figures emerged onto the balcony. Siltheri, Mevin, Lirelei, Thesli, Korath, Nixara. They surrounded him. A circle of silver-haired, purple-eyed alien women who were somehow his family now. Siltheri spoke dryly. "That was the most human thing you have said since we met." "What do you mean?" "Other species would analyze the situation, calculate the odds, determine if the relationship was beneficial." She paused. "Humans simply decide what they want and then refuse to stop until they get it. It is terrifying." "It is admirable," Korath snorted. "It's definitely weird, but I can work with weird." Thesli hugged his arm. "I can feel it now. In all of us. Through the bond." She looked up at him with tear-bright eyes. "We're going to be okay. I don't know how, but I know we will." Marcus looked at each of them in turn. 7 sisters, 7 wives, 7 completely different women who had been thrust into his life by accident and law. "So what happens now?" he asked. Lirelei pulled out her data pad. "First, we need to negotiate trade agreements between Kithra Prime and Earth. Then there's the matter of your citizenship status. Then, later," Siltheri interrupted. "Tonight, we rest. Tomorrow, we begin." She looked at Marcus with eyes that were finally beginning to thaw. "Welcome to the family, husband. Try not to die again." The paperwork was exhausting. Across the galaxy, species updated their diplomatic files on humanity. Entries were rewritten. Threat assessments were revised. Alliances were reconsidered. One report, written by a Vorkath survivor, became famous in military academies across 1,000 star systems. It contained a simple warning: do not threaten what a human claims as their own. They do not calculate acceptable losses. They do not know when to retreat. They do not understand that some battles cannot be won. They simply do not stop. We attacked a world containing a single human citizen. We lost 40% of our military strength. Learn from our mistake. Marcus Chen, former Marine commander, accidental husband to 7 alien princesses, would go on to become the first human ambassador to the Kithran Star Collective. But that night, he simply stood on a balcony with his wives, watching alien suns set on a world that was slowly becoming home. The universe was strange and terrifying and full of wonders, and humanity was just getting started.